Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over 5 rules to follow when trying to build muscle with calisthenics. So let's jump straight into them. So the first rule we want to focus on is focus on what builds muscle. Then we're going to go into the idea of mechanical tension or muscle tension. Then we're going to be talking about metabolic stress and actual muscle damage. So these are some of the 3 key things that are going to be driving muscle growth. So what we have is tension, mechanical tension. So trying to place as much tension in the muscle as possible. By doing that, that is a really key thing to do, where if we're doing our form, we make sure the tension is in our muscles for a long range of motion and we are in a controlled state. The next thing is stuff like metabolic stress. So this is like higher rep work, whether you're building up lactic acid, you're going for the pump, you're basically constantly hitting the muscles. So you have these metabolic byproducts that can be a trigger for muscle growth. So sometimes doing higher rep stuff or pushing for that pump or going to fatigue in some instances is a trigger for building muscle. The next thing is actual just muscle damage in general. So this is sometimes when we're lifting heavy, the idea of where we're causing these micro tears within our muscle, and our muscle is sort of being broken down, and we super compensate by that by regrowing that muscle and getting stronger. So these are some of the 3 key principles of what we need to follow if we're looking to build muscle. So whatever training you're doing, what exercise you're doing, what program you're doing, make sure that these 3 principles are at the forefront if your main goal is to build muscle. The next thing is don't rush the reps. And what are reps? A lot of people will be thinking that they're going for a certain rep count, whether it's sets of 5, whether it's sets of 8, 8 to 12, 15, whatever it is, and their primary goal when they're doing the reps is just bang through the reps, and they're thinking as long as they hit a particular rep count, that is what's going to stimulate growth. That is what is going to allow them to get bigger and stronger. The key thing is here is reps are just an indicator. They can be used as an indicator to tell us if we're working within the right intensity. It can also be an identifier of how long our muscle is under tension. What we need to focus on is actually making sure that we're not just going through the motions, we're not just going through the reps, we're just banging through them. We're thinking we want to make sure that these reps are under control, we're lifting the right weight. The reps are being used as a driver, as an indicator for our training, and they're not something that you should just be chasing, thinking as long as I hit a certain rep count, I will grow. They're more than that. The next thing is, number 3 is be progressive, okay? Being progressive can be in many different forms. It can be by increasing the weight. So every single week, every single workout, making sure that each time you're doing it, you're progressive with adding weight each time. We need to be progressive because we need to force an adaptation to our body that once we have a certain stimulus or a certain weight, that basically once we adapt to that stress, we need to increase that intensity, that stimulus, that stress on the muscles to continue progression. So that's why we either need to increase the amount of weight that we're lifting if we're looking to get stronger in another form of building muscle, or we need to increase the amount of volume we're doing. So whether we increase the reps that we do each workout, each week, we add an extra rep, or maybe we add an extra set. The amount of reps or sets that we do, by increasing that is another way of being progressive. You need to be progressive in all forms of your training to continue to be progressive, to get bigger, to get stronger, to get fitter. Focus on being progressive, and that will be a key driver in you building muscle with calisthenics. The next one is a consistent program. I'm not saying you have to do strong lifts 5x5, whether you have to do 3 sets of 8, whether you have to do 8 to 12 reps, whether you have to do all of these different programs, some of these other calisthenics programs that are out there. You don't have to do a particular one to see results. What you do need to do is pick a program that allows you to be consistent, and you can pick a rigid style of program where you know exactly what exercise you're doing, what sets and reps that you're doing, you know what day that you're training, whether it's a split, whether it's a full body, whatever it is. You have a rigid program. You may work well in that position, in that environment, and that's fine. Some people don't, some people do. Some people prefer having a more of a flexible way of training where they train what they feel, what they want, when they want, and they have that intuitive style of training. Some people benefit from doing that. Some people prefer doing that. Some people don't do very well at that. Whatever you benefit from, whatever you're good at doing and what you can be consistent with, pick it and stick with it. Before we get on to the final point, just want to make sure you guys, if any of you have checked out any of the calisthenics clothing that I have, there will be a link down below. We've got muscle up ones, we've got built by rings, we've got built by calisthenics. There's lots of different calisthenics focused clothing. So if you guys want to get some clothing dedicated to your way of training, make sure you check the link out. It's a great way of supporting the channel and also a great way of you guys getting yourself some calisthenics clothing. And if you're liking the content so far, make sure that you subscribe for more content like this and give the video a thumbs up. It does help the channel. The last point we're going to be looking at is to be adaptive. This is very, very important because some people, especially if, let's say for instance, they're using a more rigid style of program, or maybe there's someone that doesn't know a lot about fitness, and a lot of my content is about teaching you guys the ins and outs about fitness So you're not just following a program and not knowing why you're doing it, for what reason. And let's be honest, a lot of our goals or different things that happen in our lives will change the way that we want and how we can train. So it's very, very important that you educate yourself, but also be adaptive in your approach to training. You can't always just be very, very rigid and stick to one style of training, because different things are going to happen in your life. Obviously, with everything that's been going on over the last 18 months, there have been many people that are reliant on training with a specific set of equipment or in an environment, but the gyms got closed and people weren't able to do that. You need to be adaptive in your way of training, work with what you have. The other thing is as well is plateaus are going to happen and you've just come to a standstill. You're not making any progress, you're not getting stronger, you're not getting any bigger, you sometimes are even regressing. You need to be adaptive in your process and work out what's working and what's not, and be creative and not be afraid to maybe change things up to try and kickstart your ability to build muscle, guys. So guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, make sure you give it a like, make sure you subscribe if you want more calisthenics or just fitness content in general. Make sure you check out the Calisthenics clothing, there will be a link down below. By doing that, guys, it does support the channel, so I will appreciate that if you do that. And if you have any questions about what I've talked about today, please comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. With that out of the way, guys, I'll see you in the next video.